Out to the running backs. Again, this is the waiver wire portion of our show presented by Snickers. Snickers satisfies. Let's talk about the guys who are on a bye. Again, a lot of key names who are missing. Leonard Fournette, the big one for Tampa Bay. DeAndre Swift, obviously, for the Lions. We're hoping to get Chris Carson back. I don't have him on the list here, but reports are that he could return in Week 10. If not, Alex Collins, still worth holding on to or adding. He's under 80% roster percentage right now. And then Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick. We know those guys have had some up and down production, but still worth holding on to as they head into their bye week. The running backs to add. Now, there may be a little difference of opinion here because for me, it's Boston Scott coming off the 60-yard, 2-touchdown performance in the first game without Miles Sanders. I don't know if you guys would bowl. Heath, I think you kind of told the line a little bit about who you would pick up versus this week versus long-term. And Dave, I know you're going with Adrian Peterson as the first guy to add. But there are a lot of names on this list that probably are a little surprising. Carlos Hyde could be starting for an injured James Robinson this week. Ty Johnson very quietly, while Michael Carter is putting up big numbers, Ty Johnson not that far behind him. You have the Ravens running backs, whether it's Latavius Murray or Devontae Freeman. The Texans running backs are very much in flux. Mark Ingram, Sony Michel, handcuff options, and Jaret Patterson as well. But let's talk about the Eagles situation first. So, Keith, you said Boston Scott, if you needed somebody for this week, would be the first guy you'd be looking to add. How comfortable and confident are you that he can do what he did last week? Maybe not score twice, but lead the team in carries, or at least the important carries, and be the leading rusher for them as they take on the Chargers this week.
Oh, about as comfortable and confident as I looked when you asked me last segment if I wanted Adrian Peterson first. This entire running back group on the waiver wire does not inspire any comfort or confidence, and Nick Sirianni certainly hasn't with his running backs. But I do expect that Scott will be the lead back, and I do think there's a chance that he might do a little bit more in the passing game than nothing. And I think he's the most likely guy to score a touchdown if it's not garbage time. So he's a number 3 running back. I wouldn't be that surprised this week if Jeremy McNichols also, for 1 week, could be the best guy in a matchup against the Rams where you might throw to your running backs more than you hand it off to your running backs. I think he's in that conversation for this week. I just don't have much long-term interest in McNichols.
Okay, so we'll see what happens with Boston Scott if he holds on to the same role. I do think we'll see more passing. Like you said, he could be the lead pass catcher, but I also think Kenneth Gainwell gets more involved in that aspect of the game as well. And if you're desperate, look, Jordan Howard did have 12 carries, did score 2 touchdowns. He could be their goal line option if, in fact, that's a route they want to go. All right, let's talk about Adrian Peterson stepping in for Derrick Henry once again. So for me, I don't want to necessarily make an investment in Adrian Peterson unless I'm completely desperate at running back and need somebody to hopefully help me get by until I get some guys healthy or, find a permanent replacement for Peterson, for Henry, because I don't think Peterson is the answer for the Titans. So, Dave, you're a little bit more confident in Adrian Peterson. Talk about Peterson, McNichols, and why you like Peterson moving forward.
I just think Peterson, assuming that he does get elevated from the practice squad to the active roster, that's not a guarantee.
I think they made that move today because they put Henry on IR. So
okay.
I think they actually made that transaction.
Okay, so that already tells you that the Titans feel comfortable with Adrian Peterson being a contributor to their offense, and whether or not he gets a ton of work right away against the Rams isn't the issue. The issue is that Adrian Peterson is somebody who can step in and have that rushing presence for a team that loves to run the football for the rest of the season. This is, believe it or not, for a 36-year-old running back, a long-term play in fantasy. Now, if you're the type of fantasy manager that likes to piece together your running backs from week to week, Adrian Peterson shouldn't be the top target. It should be Boston Scott. If you're in a fab league, you should not spend a ton of fab to get Adrian Peterson. And as I said earlier on the show, if you don't have rolling waivers, Adrian Peterson shouldn't be the guy that you burn that top waiver claim on. You should wait for somebody else. But I do think he does have potential to give you 15 touches from game to game. Certainly when the matchups are easier for the Titans, you'll see Adrian Peterson finish as a number 2 fantasy running back because he'll find the end zone.
What percentage of fab are you spending on Peterson?
There is a wide range, but I could see a situation where I go up to a third of what I have left.
Okay, and you're not going to do that?
No, I would spend whatever I plan on spending on Boston Scott, I would spend on Adrian Peterson, which is right around the neighborhood of 6-7%.
It's interesting because you'll spend more, but you're more optimistic about Peterson than Heath is. For me, like I said, it's a very minimal investment. I hope he does well. I hope he can be at least a flex option. There are 27 carries on average available here, but I think the Titans changed their offense. I think McNichols has a bigger role in the passing game, which takes Peterson off the field in that capacity, and I just don't want to trust a 36-year-old running back who did not play at all this season, who did not look good last year for the Lions. I just think that the best of Adrian Peterson very much behind him, and I don't want to buy into the name and the opportunity. I just don't think he's going to be very good. How good can Carlos Hyde be stepping in for James Robinson? Do we have any faith?
If it was anybody besides the Bills, then I would be relatively interested. And I do think in a full PPR league, if James Robinson misses, because we don't necessarily know for sure that's going to happen, he could be a high-end flex this week just on catches alone. I think he had 6 catches last week.
Yep.
So, but man, it's a tough matchup, and they just might not score.
He had 15 total touches, and that's with Robinson playing in the game. So now you have Robinson off the field. So for a 1-week Band-Aid in deeper leagues, he's not going to have a great game against the Bills, but might get you 10 PPR points, and as we've said, that could be serviceable. So not a horrible replacement option, and we just don't know how long Robinson is going to be out. So Carlos Hyde might be somebody you want to place a little bit more of a priority on than you might have anticipated. Dave, the best Ravens running back rest of season, if they don't make a trade, is who?
It's Latavius Murray by a nose over Devontae Freeman, but I expect those two to mix and match the rest of the way.
Heath, the best Texans running back rest of season is who?
Oh, this is going to be...
I'm going to say David Johnson for one more week. I think I looked at our projections, and we had him projected for 13 points this week. Last week was so weird. All of Rex Burkhead's non-pass attempts came in the fourth quarter. Scotty Phillips barely played in the first half. It was just such a blowout. I want to see another game for the Texans. It might be another blowout.
So for people who picked up
usually goes.
David Johnson, assuming there's no trade, because we know Phillip Lindsay could be moved.
Right.
Assuming there's no trade, hold David Johnson one more week.
I would like to.
Okay.
Yes.
And don't pick up Rex Burkhead, or would you pick up Rex Burkhead? Because what if he is the guy?
I'm not planning on picking. I mean, all those names that we saw on there, I would pick up before Rex Burkhead. He could be the guy. It's Houston, and they've done some wacky things this year. But again, he didn't have a rush attempt or a target until the fourth quarter.
Deeper league stash for
Okay.
me. I think he might be worth it. He might have shown him something in the fourth quarter that David Johnson hasn't been able to show them all year.
Let's show you